Hello and welcome. You're watching Left, Right and Centre. I'm Gargi Rawat. Today our focus is going to be on the Chandrayaan-3 mission. The Luna 25 probe, that's Russia's first moon mission in almost 50 years, crashed on the moon after an incident during its pre-landing maneuvers. This leaves India's Chandrayaan-3 on course to become the first spacecraft to land near the lunar south pole on the moon. Today, Chandrayaan-3 moved into its pre-landing orbit in preparation for its scheduled landing, which will take place on Wednesday evening. Now, what we do know about Russia's mission, Luna 25, from the official statement, is that the spacecraft crashed into the moon after spinning out of control. Russia's space agency, Roscosmos, said it lost communication with Luna 25 on Saturday around 2:57 p.m. that's Moscow time, and it was to make a soft landing on August 21st. That's just 2 days before India's mission was to land. Now the focus on India's Chandrayaan-3, as we hope to become only the fourth country to achieve a soft landing on the moon after the US, the former Soviet Union and China. So that is the focus of our show today. All eyes on India's mission. We're now joined by Pallav Bagla, science reporter, also Dr. Madhavan Nair, space scientist and former chairman of ISRO. Thank you so much for joining us. And Ajay Lele, consultant, Manohar Parrikar Institute for Defence Studies and Analysis. Dr. Madhavan Nair, sorry, I beg your pardon. First to you. This failure of Russia's, I mean, it's a failure of science really, and it's a sad day, but now more focus on India's Chandrayaan-3 mission.
It's very unfortunate that this Russian lunar probe was crash landed on the moon. Looking at the background of the Russian space agency, they have demonstrated such capability 50 years back. Again, it's a repeat of such a mission, and with a lot of advancement in technology, they would have made 100% success in this mission. But due to some unforeseen reason, it has crash landed. We don't have much information about it, but I'm sure they will be able to dig into the reason and then try to pinpoint why it has happened. You are aware that last time, the Chandrayaan-2, when we launched, it had also a sad incident, but that was very close to the surface of the moon. We were able to
was at the last phase, as we were attempting the landing.
That's right. We reached up to something like 2 kilometers above the surface, and then some glitches up. But looking at those systems, it's a very, very complex operation. You know, first of all, we are going to an unknown territory. The gravitational field around the moon is reasonably well known, but not exactly calibrated. So to that extent, there are uncertainties. In addition, we are having a thruster which is qualified on the ground, and we are making it operate in vacuum after 10 or 15 days of storage. So at that time, if any anomaly happens in the thruster or in the calculations, what we have done, such mishap can occur. So what exactly has happened, only after detailed investigation about the trajectory parameters and the propulsion parameters, the Russians will be able to identify. I'm sure they will be able to really spring back. Of course, if you look at the history of the lunar mission, about 60% of the mission only have succeeded in the past. That's not a very good record, so to say. So it's not uncommon that such failures take place. But we need not be deterred by that. Russians are capable of implementing the corrective actions and spring back for the next mission as quickly as possible. As far as India is concerned, it's a very cautious signal. In fact, we have to approach this entire sequence very carefully. In fact, the ISRO has been doing that. They have been calibrating the systems accurately around the moon for the last couple of orbits. And from using the parameters, they will decide the final mission sequence. I'm sure they will take into account all such inputs while planning this, and I hope we will be able to achieve success in our Indian mission. Absolutely. Of course, we have to keep our fingers crossed because of the complexity involved.
Absolutely, a lot of complexities there involved. Pallav, this whole Russia mission and India mission being so close together was being portrayed by some in the media as a kind of moon race, and now even more focus on our mission. And what more do we know about the reasons for the failure of the Russian mission?
Well, the reasons for the Russian crash are still not known. The Russian Space Agency has released minimal details. I'm sure it will take time, and we have a master craftsman of the moon, Dr. Madhavan Nair. He gave
like Dr. Nair said that it was very little information is available. Yes.
Sure. And also, see, end of the day, it all remains rocket science, very tough. It's not easy. And that is what happened. And one point I think we need to look at, and something again which I have admired of Dr. Madhavan Nair. See, Russia attempted this mission 47 years after they had a mission like this. So almost everybody who would have been, yes, almost everybody who would have been part of that mission has retired and moved out. There is no heritage knowledge in fact left. And I distinctly remember Dr. Madhavan Nair telling me, and I call him the moon man of India, when he chose Dr. M. Annadurai, and at that time he wasn't a doctor, as the mission director for Chandrayaan-3. He chose him because he was 50 years old and he would have 10-year career for him. So the same thing, heritage knowledge must have been lost. But is there a race between India and Russia? I don't think there was a race between India and Russia to the moon. Both missions have been in the planning for a very long time. India's mission for at least 4 years, the Russian mission even longer. It's just that they happen to go towards the moon together, one after the other. And always remember, and Dr. Madhavan Nair would strongly second me, Russia is the guru and India is the chela, and there cannot be a race between the guru and the chela. And more importantly,
I did say it was a media creation. I didn't mean there was an actual race, but yes, in the media it was being portrayed somewhat like that. Yes, go ahead, Pallav.
Well, that happens as a narrative, and sometimes these amateur narratives play out and seem to be a race. India and Russia were certainly not racing. India was wishing well to Russia for its mission, and the Russians were probably doing the same. But end of the day, now all eyes are India for its Chandrayaan-3 Vikram lander to have a safe landing at 6:04 p.m. Indian Standard Time on August 23rd. It is going to be a difficult task, and as Dr. Madhavan Nair said, in the Chandrayaan-2 mission in Vikram lander, we had a failure towards the end, and lessons have been learned, more tests have been done, more simulations have been done, and the scientists and engineers at the Indian Space Research Organization are reflecting a lot of confidence that this time Chandrayaan-3's Vikram lander would certainly have a soft landing on the moon. Essentially, Chandrayaan-2's Vikram lander was prepared for success, whereas in Chandrayaan-3, the Vikram lander, as Chairman S. Somnath told me, the philosophy has been, it is designed to failure, so the margins have been given much larger. And let us hope that on 23rd of August, the success comes India's way, because not just India, Russia, China, America, the world, everybody wants to look at the South Pole, near the South Pole of the moon, and India is targeting an unexplored region. So the world is eagerly awaiting the data. The first probe which went to near the South Pole of the moon, and I must sincerely thank Dr. Madhavan Nair for that. It was the Moon Impact Probe which he got designed for Chandrayaan-1, which went near the South Pole of the moon, and that was the first mission from anybody to go anywhere closer to the South Pole of the moon. And that is when India planted its flag near the South Pole of the moon, and Dr. Madhavan Nair and former President APJ Abdul Kalam together plotted that and made India have tasted success to have a guarded territory, as they say in the Artemis Accords, near the south pole of the moon. So there is India's flag there.
Right. Ajay Lele, now we've spoken about, the Luna 25 mission and our hopes for the Chandrayaan-3 mission. And this has been a very exciting last couple of years as far as science and tech in the country go. And the success of Chandrayaan-3 is going to mean so much more for this entire industry in India.
Definitely. If you see and trace back the history of India's moon mission, it all started in 2008 with Chandrayaan-1. And it is Chandrayaan-1 which allowed us to understand the presence of water on the moon surface. And based on the inferences which were drawn from the Chandrayaan-1 mission, we have planned Chandrayaan-2 and Chandrayaan-3. About the race part of it, if you recollect, in the year 2015 itself, we were supposed to launch a Chandrayaan-2 mission. It was supposed to be a collaborative mission between India and Russia. So there is no concept of a race between India and Russia over here. Unfortunately, there were certain issues with Russia's space program. That's why Russia was not able to be part of Chandrayaan-2 mission. And ISRO scientists had taken on themselves to design a rover and a lander system. And that's why our mission got almost delayed by a decade after the first mission. So we have learned a lot of the lessons from the second mission. I mean, one second mission as a partial success because we were able to put the orbiter over there. Initially, it was expected that the orbiter will last for 1 year only, but subsequently, because of a good amount of fuel saving, it appears that it will last for 7 years. So we will get certain amount of assistance from this orbiter and our Chandrayaan-3 mission, taking all sorts of learnings from the failure of the soft landing part of it, is now progressing ahead as per the plans.
That's right. And Dr. Nair, before we end this discussion, next year could be even more exciting as far as space exploration for India go with NASA and ISRO, going to come together for a mission to the International Space Station.
Certainly, there is a lot of interest in exploring the moon, its mineral deposits and so on. And beyond that, whether can we have a colony to be established there? And all these are before us. So this is only a small stepping stone towards that beginning. And of course, in such explorations, international cooperation is something which will benefit all of us. In fact, in Chandrayaan-1, we did that. We carried about 6 instruments from other countries to complement the Indian scientific instruments. And that is the one which led to the declaration of the presence of water on the moon. So certainly, India is very much in the picture as far as the exploration of the celestial objects are concerned. And let's hope that this is going to be a big event which will be kickstart the second phase of the planetary exploration as far as the Indian space program is concerned.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Madhavan Nair, for joining us. And thank you, Pallav, as always, and Ajay Lele for joining us on the program and really, now gearing up for Wednesday when Chandrayaan-3 mission, when that landing, soft landing will be attempted. Well, let's take a look at the entire Chandrayaan-3 mission and what the Vikram lander will do.
India is all set to go to the moon once again. India's Chandrayaan-3, a mission to have a soft landing on the moon, is all set. India will be using the launch vehicle Mark III to send this into space. The Bahubali rocket is a very capable rocket. India had Chandrayaan-1, where India made the startling discovery of the presence of water molecules on the moon surface. There was Chandrayaan-2, which had an orbiter, and the orbiter is still going around the moon, and this is a scaled model of the Chandrayaan series. The orbiter of the Chandrayaan-2 will be used even during Chandrayaan-3. In Chandrayaan-3, there is a propulsion module, and the main bit is attempting a soft landing near the south pole of the moon. India has the Vikram lander and the Pragyaan rover on Chandrayaan-3. The Vikram lander has been made more robust, the legs have been strengthened, the software has been made more robust, and this will attempt a soft landing almost at the same spot where Chandrayaan-2 attempted the landing of Vikram. Vikram lander failed in landing on the moon in Chandrayaan-2. In Chandrayaan-3, ISRO has conducted several tests, which includes many off-nominal tests to make sure that Vikram has a soft landing. Inside the belly of the Vikram lander, hidden inside, is the Pragyaan rover. Once it lands on the moon, the Vikram landers will make sure that the ramp opens up, and from the ramp the Pragyaan rover will come down onto the lunar surface. There are cameras on the Vikram lander, there are cameras on the Pragyaan rover, and both of them would take selfies of each other. This is a very unique mission, and when India does it, it will join a handful of countries which has the capability of soft landing on the celestial body. Chandrayaan-3 is an ambitious mission by India, and India and the world are looking towards a successful mission of Chandrayaan-3. When the Pragyaan rover rolls out onto the lunar surface, it will leave the imprint of India on the lunar soil. India is attempting to land as close to the south pole of the moon as it can, and the region which is being attempted to be landed on, I have named Kalam Vihar. It is the region where the moon impact probe of Chandrayaan-1 went and had an impact, and that's the place where Vikram lander of Chandrayaan-2 crashed, and the third attempt by India to the moon is going to happen in the same area. And why do I call it Kalam Vihar? I call it Kalam Vihar because it was President Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam who requested the Indian Space Research Organization that if you are going to the moon in Chandrayaan-1 as an orbiter, why not send a probe down? That was an important aspect because India placed its flag on the moon. Subsequently, if ever moon resources have to be shared, then India has the rights on that area, having landed its flag on the moon. Chandrayaan-1 and subsequently now we have seen India has inked the Artemis Accords. They are all an effort for exploring moon, Mars and beyond. But for now, a successful soft landing of the Vikram lander near the south pole of the moon and then the rolling out of Pragyaan rover would be a magical feat by the Indian Space Research Organization. A moment to cherish for Indians. I would also be very happy if Chandrayaan-3 succeeds. It's a scientific mission, so there are several scientific instruments, one on the orbiter, some on Pragyaan on the Vikram lander, and some on the Pragyaan rover. All of them may give India glory. In Bangalore, Palav Bagla.